Trump can't win, okay? He can't win. He can't. And you know what? I don't care if he can win or not. What I'm saying is, if he went in there and he talked bluster and was rude to Kim Jong-un, did not get a handshake, did not get a spirit of agreement, no discussion of denuclearization, I should say, of the Korean Peninsula, people would be talking now about how Trump couldn't get a deal done and Trump is lousy and Trump's not a negotiator. He's horrible. But he goes in, he creates what appears to be, and from the outside looking in, is a relationship. Kim Jong-un looked like he was smiling, looked like they were having a good time, they're getting to know each other. And still, there's something to complain about. You should be happy. You should be happy this didn't turn out much worse than it did. Kim Jong-un could have said something, and Trump, who knows what Trump would have said. I mean, these are the types of thoughts I have when Trump starts talking. Trump has no filter. We do know this, right? He could liable to say anything. Now, I was watching the clip before the show of our friend Rachel Maddow. And Rachel Maddow has some very interesting, very, very, very interesting criticism for Donald Trump.
We also have to be cognizant of how much we're being stage managed.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, there's been interesting reporting and speculation as to how much is actually going to be open for discussion at this event, how much may have been previously decided. I think the way I'm approaching this, at least the way that I've been trying to think about this today, is to sort of not allow the spectacle and just the weirdness and the unusual nature of the meeting overshadow what's happening here. I mean, I don't think we should sugarcoat what the president has done here by agreeing to this meeting. North Korea is the most repressive dictatorship on earth, arguably. I mean, concentration camps, re-education camps, deliberate starvation of their own people as punishment. Last February, it was only last February that this dictator assassinated his own half-brother with VX nerve agent in a public airport in Malaysia. Just in the State of the Union address this January, this year, President Trump hosted a North Korean defector, a man who was an amputee who had been tortured in prison, whose father was tortured to death, whose grandmother was starved to death. I mean, there's a reason why no U.S. president has ever agreed to give the North Korean dictatorship what they have wanted.
Okay, there we go. Let's stop there. Let's stop right there, people. Because as I'm listening to Rachel Maddow make these claims about North Korea, remember, I've never been to North Korea. I have no skin in the game when it comes to North Korea. I just have skin in the game of truth. Pretty much like the United States could be considered a human rights violator as well. In fact, we are. Yeah, like, who's a human rights violator is all dependent on who you're asking. You know who is known to be a human rights violator, Rachel, and I never hear you talk about them? Saudi Arabia. And we give them a lot of money. And you don't give a shit. We don't give North Korea money. In fact, we help starve them. We colonize North Korea. We colonize North Korea. We shut them off, level depleting, life-sucking sanctions on them, and then we say that they're human rights violators. This is a website I happened upon. It's China Daily. See, as I stated, who's a human rights violator is all dependent on who's in the, it's sort of like looks. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Well, human rights violations are in the eye of the beholder as well. Report lists continued U.S. human rights violations in other countries. It says here, this is Beijing. This report was 2018, not long ago, April 24th. The U.S.-led military operations in other countries have caused heavy civilian casualties, according to the human rights record of the United States in 2017, released by China on Tuesday. Military operations in Syria caused a large number of civilian casualties, the report stated, citing media reports. The U.S.-led coalitions of Marines have reportedly bombed or shelled at least 12 schools, 15 mosques, 15 bridges, as well as residential neighborhoods, hospitals, cultural relics, and refugee camps, according to MotherJones.com. There's also evidence out there that states that countries where the most human rights violations are taking place are countries that we're involved in. Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Syria. Yeah, Rachel, yeah. Now, North Korea, like I said, I'm not here to carry water for the people. I don't know about North Korea, but see, that's just the thing. North Korea, we don't get to see what's going on in North Korea. It's really hard to get data out, you know, but okay, I take your word for it. They're a human rights violator. One way to deal with a human rights violator is to put them on display. Put them on display. But back to my point, Rachel, you can make the same claims about the U.S. That's why people who fight for power, who speak truth to power, for the powerless, who speak out, are talking about these wars that we engage in, these interventionist regime change wars, these conflicts that we engage in, that leave civilians dead, hospitals bombed, schools bombed, drones that 90% of the time hit civilians. Rachel, what the fuck are you talking about? Rachel Maddow with her doomsday reporting, omitting totally our own human rights violations and the violations of our leading supplier of arms, who we supply arms to, Saudi Arabia. With not a word about that. Shh. Don't forget, guys, this show is brought to you by, who's it brought to you by? JustInformed.com, a social media site where we don't track you, we don't steal your data, we don't sell it, we don't do anything like that. What you do is you go there, you share, you read, you digest, and you become a part of the community. So please, go to JustInformed.com, a site owned by activists, commentators, and journalists just like you. All right, now.